This evening's little talk is going to be about the welcoming prayer. And let's get started with a psalm. How long will this pain go on, Lord? This grief I can hardly bear. How long will anguish grip me and agony wring my mind? Light up my eyes with your presence. Let me feel your love in my bones. Keep me from losing myself in ignorance and despair. Teach me to be patient, Lord. Teach me to be endlessly patient. Let me trust that your love enfolds me when my heart feels desolate and dry. I will sing to the Lord at all times, even from the depths of pain. Welcome to this digital contemplative prayer group. This is a place for all God's people. Whatever your beliefs or doubts, you are always welcome here. If you are new to centering prayer, just follow the instructions as the session unfolds. You are also welcome to use the silence in any other way that is right for you. Loving God, we ask for your blessings upon this gathering, recognizing that we bring the joys and sorrows of our lives here today. If anyone would like to mention silently or aloud expressions of gratitude or concern for ourselves, our families, our friends, our society, or our fragile planet, please do so now.
Portland, Oregon.
A child named Trenton.
For all of those struggling with addiction.
For Joan Dabney.
For Terry.
With gratitude for this community and for Catherine.
God, we trust that you hear our prayers, silent or spoken, wordless or in words. So I'd just like to talk for a few minutes about the welcoming prayer. I especially wanted to mention it right now because Spirituality in Practice is offering a month-long course on the welcoming prayer in October, in about a month. And so in case you're interested in that, I just wanted to give you a taste of it. Some of you are probably longtime practitioners of the welcoming prayer. How many of you are practicing it regularly? I'd love just to see hands. Thank you. Um, it's considered a complement to centering prayer. It's centering prayer is something we can do for 20 or 30 minutes twice a day or more if we choose. And the welcoming prayer is often said to be a kind of prayer that we can use for the other 23 hours of the day. It's often called consent on the go because it's a prayer that we can do in the midst of daily life and even for just as short a time as 30 seconds. And when we're being overwhelmed by an emotion in the midst of our daily lives, we're invited to feel that the emotion in our bodies and welcome it and then let it go. So we'll have I'll guide you through a little experience of that in a minute. But I just also want to mention the founder of the Centering Prayer, Mary Mrozowski, who was one of the original Lama retreatants when Thomas Keating offered the first long centering prayer retreat to lay people in the mid-80s. Mary was one of the first hardcore practitioners of centering prayer who came from from outside the monastic community, as was my own centering prayer teacher, David Frenette. And Mary and David went on to live together as lay monastics in something called Chrysalis House. And Mary was quite a force of nature. I didn't have the pleasure of meeting her, but I feel like I've received some of her energy through my own teacher, David, who sees her very much as his teacher. And she was a wonderful complement to Thomas Keating because she was kind of opposite in many ways. Some of you may have read the recent biography of hers that came out. Duncan's saying he has called "The Audacity to be Divine," which is written by her daughter based on her journals. It's written in the first person as if she had written it, and it gives you some wonderful insight into her life. But she developed the welcoming prayer, and they practiced it quite a lot in Chrysalis House, and I think it's becoming more and more popular, and there's been a lot of interest in it during the pandemic because it's a really helpful tool for if you're dealing with really challenging, afflictive emotions that are really overwhelming you and you don't know what to do with them. And there's something, what I was going to say about Mary is that she was very, she was kind of a glamorous, very bold figure who made a wonderful kind of foil to Thomas Keating, and apparently they used to go into meetings together and everybody would hear wild laughter coming out of the room where they were meeting together, so they somehow really tickled each other and enjoyed each other. And there's something Thomas Keating is a towering figure, but he's a monk, and he's also kind of intellectual, so I love the idea of him being kind of balanced by this very feminine, bold, lay woman who had a lot to contribute to the centering prayer movement, but unfortunately died much too early. So just to think a little bit more about the welcoming prayer. When we find in the midst of life that it's difficult or if not impossible to let go of an emotion or a state of being, we can, instead of trying to avoid that state of being, we can move deeper into it and welcome it. A way of accepting it rather than trying to run away from it. And in so doing, we consent to the present of the sacred and to this moment just as it is. So there are 3 steps of the prayer to feel and sink into whatever you're experiencing in your body, to welcome it, and to let it go. So why don't I just lead you in a brief experience of it. If you like, you can just focus on what's going on in your body right now, whatever emotions happen to be in your body. Or you can think back into the past about an emotion that you found challenging earlier today, or earlier this week, or something that you're struggling with that gives you a lot of emotion in your body, or something that's coming up in the future that makes you feel anxious, or any other emotion. It doesn't have to be a challenging emotion. You can practice the welcoming prayer with any kind of bodily sensation or a positive feeling. Teresa Sonier, who teaches the welcoming prayer a lot, says, "What I welcome in the welcoming prayer practice is not the feeling, emotion, thought, or body sensation, but God's activity in them." So in a way, it doesn't matter what you pick. You're just giving God an opportunity to work within you, and you're consenting to God's action within you. And it's just another way of doing that. So in a way, it's centering prayer. It's consenting to God's action within you, but in a slightly different form. So just feel and sink into whatever you're experiencing in your body. You could start with a scan. Just notice the different parts of your body. Is there anything in your scalp? Tension or tingling? The back of your neck? Clenching? Tightening? Anything in your throat? In your face? In your chest? Any kind of burning or tingling or movement? Sometimes it's a very stable sensation. Sometimes it's jumping around from one part of your body to another. Are you breathing differently than usual? Is it a familiar sensation? Whatever you find as you scan yourself, just try to be fully present to it rather than pushing it away. Father Thomas says to sink into it like a warm jacuzzi. You don't need to analyze it or explain it or name it or understand it. You're just noticing it and feeling it. And then just welcome what you're experiencing. Accept that your feelings are there and that you can just be the way you are without trying to change anything. Just let the feeling be there. Welcome. 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 It might be kind of a relief to just allow it to be there rather than pushing it away or resisting it in any way. You might feel it start to shift as you welcome it, and you might not. You might just remain the same. Doesn't matter. You don't need to worry about changing it. Just experience it and welcome it. And then when you're ready, you can let go of it by saying, "I let go of my desire for security, affection, control, and embrace this moment as it is," which is just a way of inviting our unconscious to surrender to God's action within us in the form of this prayer, and do what needs to be done towards our healing. So something might happen to what you've been feeling, or it might stay the same. You can just trust that what needs to happen will happen now that you've offered it to God in a movement of surrender. And if you're doing it on your own, you can move through the cycle of the 3 steps, the feel and sinking in, the welcoming and the letting go a few times, sometimes 3 times is recommended. Or you can just do it once very quickly in the midst of your daily life. If you're in the middle of some kind of conflict or drama, you can just take a moment to run through those steps inside yourself, offering them up to God. So if you're interested in going further with that, I'll send you a few links tomorrow in the email. There's a wonderful little booklet that's available through Contemplative Outreach. That's a 40-day practice guide to the welcoming prayer. There's a link to where you can buy that on my website. There's a link to the Spirituality and Practice course in October, which I'll be taking myself. So if you're going to be doing that, I'll see you there. And there are, until very recently, the Meditation Chapel was offering welcoming prayer sessions online. They've stopped doing that right now because at the moment the welcoming prayer team is all preparing. They're going to be leading the course on for spirituality and practice, so they're taking a break from offering it on Meditation Chapel to prepare the course. But if you're interested in experiencing a 30-minute session by the people, the welcoming prayer team of Contemplative Outreach, they lead you through the steps in a kind of a half-hour format, and there are quite a few sessions recorded on the Contemplative Outreach YouTube page, and there's a link to that also on my website if you just go to the welcoming prayer place in the navigation bar. So let's turn towards our centering prayer. We'll sit for 20 minutes. Sit with your back straight and your feet flat on the ground or in another stable, comfortable position. Your hands on your thighs or in your lap. Just take a few deep breaths and notice if there are any adjustments you'd like to make to be comfortable and alert for the prayer period. If there's anything you'd like to let go of before we begin. Just take a moment to notice who God is for you right now, whatever that might mean. Sense of mystery, presence, absence, community, acceptance. Whatever you find is alive for you right now in your connection to God. Renew your commitment to be open and present to the divine. If you'd like, you could silently begin to repeat your sacred word or touch your sacred breath gently with your attention. During the prayer period, whenever you notice that you've become engaged with your thoughts, you can use your sacred symbol to just very gently disengage yourself. Loving God, may we rest in your presence. Tonight's Lectio reading is a poem called The Healing Time by Pesha Joyce Gertler, and this poem is actually found in that little booklet I showed you about the welcoming prayer. And I'll read it 3 times, and then I'll invite you to share a word or phrase that resonated for you if you choose. Listen with the ear of the heart. Finally, on my way to yes, I bump into all the places where I said no to my life. All the untended wounds, the red and purple scars, those hieroglyphs of pain carved into my skin, my bones, those coded messages that send me down the wrong street again and again, where I find them, the old wounds, the old misdirections, and I lift them one by one close to my heart, and I say, holy, holy. The healing time. Finally, on my way to yes, I bump into all the places where I said no to my life, all the untended wounds, the red and purple scars, those hieroglyphs of pain carved into my skin, my bones, those coded messages that send me down the wrong street again and again, where I find them, the old wounds, the old misdirections, and I lift them one by one close to my heart, and I say, holy, holy. The healing time. Finally, on my way to yes, I bump into all the places where I said no to my life, all the untended wounds, the red and purple scars, those hieroglyphs of pain carved into my skin, my bones, those coded messages that send me down the wrong street, again and again, where I find them, the old wounds, the old misdirections, and I lift them, one by one, close to my heart, and I say, holy, holy. I invite you to share a word or phrase that resonated for you.
Way to yes.
Those hieroglyphs of pain.
Untended wounds.
I lift them.
To my heart.
I lift them close to my heart.
I lift them close to my heart.
Holy, holy.
Finally on the way to yes.
Old wounds, let's close by saying together the night prayer. I'll say it and you can say it along with me. Self unmute. Lord, it is night. The night is for stillness. Let us be still in the presence of God. It is night after a long day. What has been done has been done. What has not been done has not been done. Let it be. The night is dark. Let our fears of the darkness of the world and of our own lives rest in you. The night is quiet. Let the quietness of your peace enfold us, all dear to us and all who have no peace. The night heralds the dawn. Let us look expectantly to a new day, new joys, new possibilities. In your name we pray. Amen. Thanks for being here tonight. It was wonderful to be with you all.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Lindsay. Bye-bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Lindsay.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Be good.
Thank you.
Hi,
Okay.
Marcia.
Hi, Lorraine. It was very beautiful. Hey, Godalee. Thank you, Lindsay.
Welcome, Kathleen. Nice to see you.
See you too.
Thank you, Lindsay. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.
I thought that was you, Nancy.
Yeah, yeah. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be seen.
Yeah. What a beautiful prayer, too. Thank you. Thank you,
Very,
Lindsay.
very beautiful. Thank you, Lindsay.
Very welcome, Marcia. Thanks for being here.
Lindsay,
Yes, hi, Joe.
hi. I have a painting that a friend of mine did that when I first saw it, it's called In My Heart. And as soon as I saw it, you had read this piece the previous time. And as soon as I read it, I associate the two together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And when I was originally supposed to get a print of it, but due to some sort of thing, she's actually giving me for the same price as the print. She's giving me the original.
Wow.
Yeah. So if I get the thing, I'll take a picture and I'll share it with you.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
It would be an interesting Visio. It's abstract, but it would be a very interesting Visio Divina.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'll be curious to see what about it reminds you of the poem if it's abstract.
It's like a scarred up heart. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
When do you see it? All right.
Forward to it.
Peace.
Take care, Joe. Nice to
Have
see
a good week.
you too. Bye, Linda. Have a good week.